Since our father died, you've ignored me. Did you know that, Nemo? Said the woman. You have given all your attention to your wife and your children. You have forgotten me. They were sitting in Nemo's room. The door was half closed. You know this is not true, my sister, Nemo said, drawing the curtains of the door. It is true. Look at the house at home. It is falling apart, but you don't seem to care. You don't even know the part of it has already fallen, do you? And yet you're here sleeping in this bush and not concerned about me. The bush is what's keeping me and my family. Yes, and I hear the people here are feeding fat on your labors. And I come asking for just a little money to do some trading, and you say you don't have money. Nemo looked intently at his sister. She was aging fast. At just 42 and 3 years his junior, she was already looked like a very old woman. Could it be that something was bothering her? Their mother had given birth to only the two of them. She had raised them but died before either of them was old enough to marry. Their father lived and worked in Boama. All, all you do, Goma was still on at her brother, is tell the whole world you have a great wife who supports you. You think it is fair that you should neglect me and concentrate on your own? You have not treated me well. Do you know that? Nemo was still thinking hard. He knew Goma was right on one point. He had concentrated on his own family and farming rather than the family house in Boama. You should realize, my sister, that you're better off than me, Nemo told his sister. In which way? You live in the family house which is considered yours, so long as things continue like this. But look at me. I'm living in another man's house just in order to be able to live here and farm. The lands I'm farming on belong to the same man, but you're still using the family land at home. Which family land? The family land which is as old as the sun and cannot even grow onions. Why do you think father left it to farm in these parts? Go and see. It's lying there like dead wood. I'm also living on borrowed land. So you see that we are all struggling. Struggling where? You're a man and you look after cocoa farms. Oh, my sister, the cocoa farms don't belong to me. I'm only a tenant. Two-thirds of all the proceeds go to the landlord. To tell you the truth, we are all living on our crop farms. Goma was silent. She coughed and spat through the open window. Adu, who was deeply involved in the conversation, looked up when the curtains parted and received it full in the face. He spat out a mouthful of saliva, wiped his face with the back of his palm, grumbled beneath his breath, and ran away, hoping that no one saw him. I'm sorry, Goma. Who was behind there? She craned her neck to see, but there was nobody there. She remained standing by the window and looked around the room. How is your sewing machine? Goma remained silent, as though she hadn't heard her brother speak. I see, she said eventually. Is it the sewing machine which makes you think you've done everything for me? You speak as if you don't know Boama. Is it a place where a person can earn from a sewing machine? Ask me how much I've made out of it since you bought that machine. If she only knew, thought Nemo, that he had deprived his own wife of something like that for her sake, she wouldn't now go out to her way to demean his humble gestures. Was it for nothing that he squeezed his own family to buy her a sewing machine in those days? But he decided to ignore her remark and close the rift that threatened to open. There was something open his sister which there was something about his sister which he didn't understand. It dated back years. Why did she always find fault with him on very trivial matters? Her remarks about his family were not the sort expected from a sister. When her husband died 5 years before, it was he, Nemo, who provided for her until she was able to stand on her feet again. What had he done against his sister that she bore him such a grudge? Or could it be Nemo still searched his mind, that Goma was still brooding over the matter of his herbs and their effects? My sister, he ventured, I hope you're not still angry with me about the medicine. Goma believed that if a man was guilty, his conscience would not leave him alone, and she told her brother so. Why do you ask me? She retorted. Who cares about the medicine of a man who can cure other people but cannot do anything for members of his own household? This is where we misunderstand one another, my sister. You know, this knowledge of herbs was passed on to me by our father, and yet his own sister never had a child. He used to tell us, have you forgotten, long before each of us gotten married, that his herbs could never help a woman bear children. Let's stop this, Goma insisted. The harm has already been done and can never be undone. What harm? I say we should forget this, Goma almost shouted. Then, as if on second thoughts, despite all this, whenever you have the opportunity, you blast me hard. What are you talking about? Nemo asked. Goma's temper was rising. You know what? I'm talking about all right. I'm talking about all right. I'm talking about 12 years ago, when just because of my absence from Buama for 3 years, you called and gave me a piece of your mind. Do you remember how you blasted me? Oh, Goma, why don't you forget this matter? You went away for 3 years to the north on transfer with your husband. You said you're going You said your going was so sudden that you couldn't inform me before leaving. For 3 years I didn't see you. Was it wrong when on your return I called to ask about your journey? And what else did you ask about? Goma shuddered as though she feared the answer. What else did I ask about? I only thank God with you that in those 3 years you had a baby girl. Now let's stop this matter, Goma pleaded. I don't even know why you're saying all this. It seems like you came here on purpose to quarrel with me. Goma didn't say anything. Nemo couldn't understand why his sister felt so bitter towards him. The rift deepened with every passing year. The more they talked, the deeper the gulf became. Perhaps his sister was right. They should forget it. When Adu dodged from behind the window, he saw his mother standing outside the gate to their house. She was waiting for her friend, Boye's mother, to go with her to the stream. He went to her and asked, Mother, why is the woman so angry with father? Which woman? Birango pulled her son towards her, pinned the boy to her breasts, and picked some bits of leaves from his hair. Do you work on your head, Adu? She asked. Look at your hair. The boy grumbled his disapproval. If you don't work on your head, Birango went on, you must have starchy hair. You must have starchy hair. It picks up everything that comes its way. Adu was tickled by that, and he laughed. The sticky substance was the plain warmer spat from the window. Mother, Adu asked again, why is that woman quarreling with father? I said, which woman? The visitor. Is it your auntie you're referring to like a stranger? Call her your auntie. Who told you she's quarreling with your father? But I heard them talking. When? Just now. I was hiding behind the window when Adu disengaged himself from his mother and placed his hand on the spot of his head where the knock had landed. Why, mother? Never eavesdrop on elders when they are talking in private. That's bad manners. Never do that again. Adu made a stubborn face. Shall I tell your father? Birango threatened. Adu was quiet. Don't do that again. Birango pulled the boy again and continued plucking at his hair, quarreling. Birango now feasted privately on that bit of information. Of course, this was an old quarrel, and she was fully aware of it. Although her husband tried to hide it from her, she knew about the sour relationship between him and his sister. What's that big boy doing there? Sucking breast? It was Boye's mother who came by, balancing a big drum on her head. Shame, shame, Ado, teased the big woman. You're sucking breast. I'm not, Ado protested and ran away before the woman made a big deal out of it in the hearing of his friend. Look at him, Ado's mother said. Thrust your breast to these boys, and I tell you they would suck it. As if I, as if I don't know, her friend said as they started to go. His friend Boye is worse than him. I wonder what type of boys we have these days who are always charging after their mothers. Boye's mother towered above Birango, dark like her husband up here, heavily built with hefty thighs. She had quarreled. She had equally tough arms. Her water drum was one of the biggest among their clique of women, but she never asked anybody to help her place it on her head at the stream when it was full of water. She could easily lift it from the ground, place it upon her knee, wipe the dripping water beneath the drum, and then, with a heave, lift the giant drum up on her head without disturbing the head pad. See her pick up her bouncing, bouncing 10-month-old boy, people said. It was as if the child weighed no more than a leaf. Birago and Boy's mother were friends. They knew how to snatch a brief moment for their small talks, drop in small gossip here and there, laugh aloud, slap their thighs if the joke was a good one, and then run home to continue their chores. Someone once asked Boye's mom how they managed to be friends when their husbands were often quarreling. Who said they were quarreling? She surprised the inquirer. They are the women and we are the men. Unlike women, they enjoy themselves best when they are exchanging a few words. Then she added most seriously, for your ears only, let my husband hear this, and I'm dead. The surprised inquirer laughed and went her away. Boye's mother, if you follow her, laughter will kill you. Her name was Mame Adjoa, but nobody called her by her name. When Hassan Boye was still a small child, he had developed an abdominal illness that nearly killed him. The boy's ailment was prolonged and so attracted attention. For a whole year, the focus was on Boye. People began to refer to the woman as Boye's mother. The same applied to Appiah, but Appiah told people that his name was more important than his son's. If people could not call his son by his name, they should not call him by his son's name. Appiah knew how to insist on what he wanted. Before they passed the last house, two women, Soya and her cousin Amma, carrying their firewood on their heads and chatting excitedly. Look at look at the children. Boye's mom was captured by the scene. They are friends already within 3 days. I wish we still had all our childhood innocency in us, Birango. But when we grow, like the tender young corn, we are stripped of our beautiful childhood personalities. Birango replied, but the adult corn, though dry and ugly, has something better to offer than those tender ones. You're right, Boye's mother agreed. They laughed, surprising Amma. She remembered a teacher in her school who said that people in the village enjoyed life more than people in big towns because the village people were closer to nature and therefore to God. Maybe the teacher was right, Amma thought. When Adu left his mother, he went directly to the kitchen. He was hungry, but before he could find himself something to eat, he heard what sounded like excited voices outside. People were shouting, "Welcome to a new arrival to the village." Adu rushed out of the house. He had hardly gone out when he came in again announcing, "It's the landlord, father." "Uh-huh," Nemo responded, coming out of his room. "What a surprise. The man hasn't been here for months." Nemo left his sister in the room and went out. Whenever Yeboah visited Susa, everyone was involved. He commanded respect. There was a strong link between the owner of the land and the people who tended it. That was why it was impossible for Yeboah to return home the same day he visited Susa. Once he had tried to go back the same day, saying he was busy, but the people were so eager to keep him up that he stayed an extra 2 days before going home. "Eh, who is here?" That was Nemo welcoming Yeboah. "Yes, I've come," said Yeboah. "I know you people are not expecting me now, but here I am." I came in and sat down. He came in and sat down. "Welcome, welcome," Nemo said. "You've come in good time before the rains get worse and coming to the best to these parts becomes a problem. How is the woman and the children?" "They are fine." "Is everybody fine here?" "I've just arrived." Nemo told him everybody was fine. Most people had finished clearing the weeds in the cocoa plantation. Soon the golden pod, as the farmers called the cocoa, would be ready for harvesting. While the two men exchanged news and information, Adu sat by himself in the corner of the house. He knew that soon the landowner would see him and call him, as he did whenever he came to the village. But until then, he had time to study the man afresh, in the light of what his father had told him. As the men talked, once in a while they burst out laughing, but Adu now knew that behind the laughter was a man hurt and grieved. Footsteps coming towards the gate drew his attention. Ya and Amma walked in, balancing water buckets on their heads. When they had drained the water into the barrel that stood in the corner of the yard, they turned to go. That was when Yeboah remembered to ask about the children. "Come and greet me, my daughters. Now where is Ado?" Ado rose and joined Ya and Amma to shake Yeboah's hand. Yeboah looked at Amma. "Who is this one? Have I seen you in this house before?" It was Nemo who answered the question while Yeboah held onto Amma's hand. "That's Amma, my niece. She's Goma's daughter, you remember? By the way, where is she?" Nemo looked around. "Where is Goma?" Adu entered his father's room to see if Goma was there. She was out. The next morning, Nemo went to his sister's room to greet her, only to find her packing. "What's this, sister? Are you going today?" asked Nemo. He was surprised. "Yes, I'm going," Goma replied, without lifting her eyes to look at Nemo. "I thought you said you were staying for a week. We didn't even finish talking about the reason you came." "I don't care," she continued to pack. Amma looked on helplessly. Her face showed that she would have loved to stay a little longer. Adu was really puzzled about his auntie's hasty decision to return to her town. He was told that it was Goma's way. Every time she was in the village and Yeboah came, she left abruptly.